Hi everyone, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Today we are in the Toroid day, closing the week of the emotions in the month of Scorpio. So since today, of course, we are logically talking inside the energy of Sagittarius, but for the next 10 days, we will keep working with the physical aspects of the Scorpio. So even though we are now in Sagittarius, we will have 10 more days in Scorpio for our works. So take a deep breath. So as you may have seen, the emotional week with Scorpio has been all about going into the depth of our subconscious. So it's very heavy to go inside. But I would say that Scorpio is one of the most important months that we are going to have, because it's kind of the depth of all the other concepts that we are going to speak about in the next months, all of them. So I would recommend to pay a lot of attention to Scorpio to be able to transcend and to integrate the rest of the year. Some people were asking yesterday about what an egregor is and if the I am is an egregor. But I would say that an egregor would be an energetical concept that takes spirit by itself from the creation of people or beings that are alive. So we are the ones creating egregors from life towards the other dimensions. And the I am is not something that we create. The I am is a concept related to the divine. Okay, so it's otherwise. So we could say that an egregor is like an energetical notebook, we would say, like, I don't know, Vitacor, you say in English, Vitacor? Vitacor of a group of people. So of course that with all this that we are doing, we are creating also an egregor, of course. Yeah, so we are creating an egregor because an egregor is how do you say it? Like a journal of the binacle. Okay, of a group. So of course there are good egregors, bad egregors, of everything. So these beings are created by the concepts that we all share, that a group of people share. So what he meant by saying set myself free was to basically set yourself free from, and he was a very easy and quiet egregor related to the Christianism. So the topic for today related to the Taurus, the emotional Taurus, is solitude or loneliness. So the concept of solitude comes from the idea of being unique, the only one, the only one. That's solitude. Solitude comes from the concept of solis, that means the unique one, the only one. And this is the origin also for the word sun. That sun in English, it's a variation of the Latin word sol. So first of all, let's try to understand that the concept of solitude is not originated by the idea of being alone. It's originated by the concept of being unique, one only being. That's the concept of solitude. first of all, to understand this, we have to picture that solitude must be seen in three different ways in our self, which is the mind, the soul, the emotional, and the body. So the first one would be the mental, the mind, which is related to the concept of solitude, related to be unique. Okay, so that's the concept of the mind. The mind says I am, and everything that is around me is just a perception, a projection of what I see, what I perceive, what I think. Okay, so it's not about being lonely, it's about being the only. Okay, that would be the different. And in the mind, the self would say I am the only one. If the mind thinks that, the spiritual mind thinks that everything is unique because it's only one, the self, the I am. So this means that that the mind is neutral, is only one thing. So the spirit perceives everything from the neutrality. The soul, the emotional, is energetical. So this means that the neutrality of the spirit in the soul, in the emotion, is split in two, positive and negative. So this means that the soul is basically energy, and it means that the soul is related with the links and bonds with others. Positive, negative, positive, negative. It needs the links to perceive the unity. So when some links go away, this will mean that the soul will perceive that unity through separation. And by the cut of the links, the only becomes lonely. So we can understand it in that way. For the soul, the only becomes the lonely. Just to remind this, because I want for everyone this to be very clear. This is the main division or difference. This is the main difference between spirit and soul. Spirit is the consciousness of unity. Everything is spirit. The spirit is one. And the soul is the energy, which is two different things, positive and negative, because it's energy. So it's related with links. So one is unity, the one is duality. And the soul is related with links. This is why the spirit is called I am, and the soul is called we are. So for the mind, for the spirit, everything is unity. Everything is one. It doesn't understand the other one because it doesn't exist other one, because everything is one. There's only one mind, only one truth. That's why the spirit knows. So this is why it says I am. And by saying I am, okay, it is saying that it's the only one, that is the sun that irradiates everything. So it is unique. That's the only concept of solitude that the spirit can understand, uniqueness. So when the unity starts to vibrate and divides itself, create energy. When the unity starts to vibrate and divide itself, it creates energy, because now we have a positive and the negative. So two different things that start to move and create the energy. Everything starts to move. So the soul is the energy that allows for everything to exist through energy. So it creates the links, the bounds of movement, of creation. Okay? So that's the great difference between spirit and soul. So if for the unity, for the spirit, the unity is the uniqueness, is the only one, recognized as the only one. So for the soul, which is two different aspects, to be the only would means that there is one of them missing. And that's how it begins the idea of lonely. To be alone. Picture this. We had only one concept up there, that is unity, the only one, that divides in two different energies, and then these two different energies are going to try to create a new one again, what we call the body, the Trinity. So this energy will try to put everything together to create again the same concept of the origin. So this will mean that the unity expressed in different energies, and the energy starts to move until it can create the path to put all that together again and create unity again. This means that the body is the way in which the soul can live and experience the unity of the spirit. So this is why the body is I and the spirit is am. I looks for the am to say I am, and the path to connect these two is the energy of the soul by positive and negative. So the spirit thinks I am the only one. The soul says I am the many. And the body says I am the individual created by the many. For all the pure energy of the spirit to come to the body, we need duality. And now you get why we need duality and polarity? Because it's the way of the soul. The spirit says, I am. The soul says, I am in you and you are in me. And the body says, it is me. Okay, you got the three different ways of saying it? So for the spiritual mind, there is nothing else than itself, than the I am, than the only one. So when we speak about the soul, remember, the soul, it's positive and negative. So positive and negative means that the soul needs to move energy from one another to create. This is why the soul needs a lover, a friend, an enemy. Needs constantly something in which project itself, with whom create realities all the time, constantly. So when the soul feels that that person doesn't exist, that it goes away, suddenly the soul feels lonely, feels loneliness. There is nothing else, there is nothing more there to relate to. Because the soul is living through and with the others. And then the body is the final product of the soul. The soul is the one creating the body by energy. So the soul is not within the body. The soul is the energy creating the body. This means that everything that the body will live, will perceive and feel is the final product of all the links that the soul has created. because it's made up with that. So now we can understand the speeds of how the consciousness works. The spirit is only one thing. So for the mind of the spirit, everything happens in just this. That's it. So it's very fast because there's nowhere to go. There's no connections to do. Everything is there. For the soul, we have duality. So there's a process from one point to another. You have a path to take. So there is a process to understand why from this happens that. And the body is the final product of all the times that you did this, all interconnected, creating networks. So the body will need a lot of time to figure from where these connections came from. Because it's like a mess. So this is why sometimes when we have a problem, it's easier to understand why in the mind. It's easy. Then we need a bit of more time to relate that projection that we have done in others to heal the soul. But then to process that in the body will take a lot of time. And this is because for the spirit, for the mind, everything is just a dot. For the soul is a process of a line, of polarity. And for the body is a conjunction of spot, dots, and lines, creating a grid. So it's much more complex. So as I said, for the spirit, it's about uniqueness. So I am the only one. For the soul, duality, if you take one, it's loneliness. And now we are going to explain that. And for the body, it's a constant path of feeling alone and with others, alone and with others, alone and with others. It's a constant path of experiencing both. So only through the body we can experience soul and spirit both together as one. So from this point of view, acknowledging that the body is the final product of soul and spirit both together, what we have to try to understand, talking about loneliness, solitude, is from where are we feeling solitude? The spirit or the soul? When we speak about the loneliness, the solitude of the soul is the one that we all know for sure, because that's the one that we usually feel. And this means polarity. So this means that the loneliness of the soul is related with the feeling of void, with the feeling of feeling empty because there's a lack of something. You are missing someone. You are in the need of another one, of another part. That's the most easiest way in which we can relate the loneliness of the soul, when we are looking for something outside in order to feel plenty. And that's why when you have a lack of someone or something, you feel abandoned too. We relate this feeling with being abandoned. And the solitude of the spirit is the solitude of feeling the void within, but acknowledging that the void is yourself. that the void is you are the origin of everything, that suddenly you have the power to do whatever you want because you are the only one. You are the creator. To understand the solitude of the spirit, you have to experience it. It's very difficult to explain it because it's something so overwhelmed that is impossible to explain, that you have to perceive it. And someday you will. And remember this, you cannot go from the body to the spirit like that. There is a path. What was the path? The soul. The soul is the path. So you cannot go over the soul. The soul is the path to reach the spirit. So you have to go through the solitude, through loneliness, through experiencing this lack of stuff, feeling abandoned. So when you do that, is the thing that I explained today in the blog, and this is my personal experience. Through my life, I have lived in this path of the soul. I have lived many moments of abandon and loneliness. And all of those moments can be seen from two different points of view. So I could take the negative part of these situations of abandon, which is to abandon myself, or the positive one, which would be to find myself. So emotionally, what we used to do when we feel abandoned is immediately to abandon ourselves. And this is because we don't have because we think that without the other one, I am nothing. Remember the soul. The soul thinks, without this one, I don't exist. I'm alone. So I just abandon myself and let everything like fall down. So in the positive way, instead of leaving yourself and abandon yourself to disappear, what you do is to find yourself, to project yourself in a new idea, in a new environment, in a new situation, with new people. So now imagine this. If I am the positive and this is the negative, and I am like this, like a magnet, this will never change. This is perfect, constantly. So I have two different ways to move forward and to change. I have to change. So the way in which I will change is if this one goes away. If this one goes away, abandoning, I feel alone, and suddenly I go into another one. Immediately I add to a new one, to a new different level. The other way in which you can move forward without feeling abandoned, is when you being the positive and this one being the negative, and you want to get away from that to evolve. So you have to change your polarity. If you are positive, you change the negative. So negative and negative cannot join, go away. So immediately you go into the next one, into a different one. And you move forward. This movement will create like a DNA chain. Hmm? So, for example, this process that I just explained, we can put it more human in terms of a couple, for example. Remember, these two people are positive and negative, okay? And this positive and negative is not good and bad. It's just positive and negative. So this is a couple. So now imagine that I am the positive and this person is the negative. But this person that is positive, that is negative in this couple, now this person decides to change, to transform itself. Something happened. And I don't want to change. I want to be exactly the same. But this person says, I cannot stay like this. So it changes, and suddenly this one disappears. It goes away, and I am still the same. This person that is here in positive, when this person loses the other one, because this one lives because that person changed. So this one, being exactly the same, becomes toxic because the energy, the soul, is perceiving that there is a void. There is no one to fill that void. And that's how the soul feels lonely. So the thing is that this one that is alone, this person that stays alone, if this person still believes that the other one was the complementary for him, for it, so it loses a lot of energy and stay in this loneliness when the spirit knows that we are all one. So the only way in which you can find yourself is not by waiting the energy of the other one that you met, is by keep going, keep moving forward, because if everything is one, so it doesn't matter where you go and who you are with, you will find yourself. So when friends, couples, partners, family, when they start to vibrate in the same energy, in the same vibration, positive, positive, negative, negative, so it's the moment when you need to keep moving, to keep going, okay, to change. This is why the crisis and the moments of breaking relationships are not a failure, but they are the key to know that you are moving forward. Every relation that we have is basically explained exactly as an image of a proton and an electron. So whenever you feel alone, you have to think about what is your next step. Okay. Information for today. The vibration for today is the code for today is the unconscious expression. In the constant breathing of the cosmos, movement emerges. The wave, the vibration that boosts ideas to move like waves through space-time. This is a movement without any purpose, a free dance, an improvisation that manifests in the present expression, in the feelings, in following the wave, and creating without any judgment nor purpose. We usually call this projection as present. So let's go to the alignment. As always, we begin by doing circles with the shoulders to relax the body, and I focus in my breathing. I become aware of the light around me and also how it shines within me. I take time to think about all the people that I know that are connected to me, good and bad, closest and farthest ones, all of them around me. I observe all of them surrounded by the same light that emerges from me. I recognize that all of them are connected to my same body, to the body of my mind, in a great ocean of consciousness, where they now become waves. Take a deep breath and dive within the waters, going through the conscious and the unconscious, as you perceive how the light starts to vanish, as you go deeper and deeper, falling into the depth of your subconscious, in the shadows on the darkness. I take a moment to perceive how I find myself in an infinite darkness, alone. I take a moment, breathe, and perceive what provokes in you this great solitude. I set my intention and I activate it with my vibration. I desire to find myself in my solitude. I am the sun. I am the eternal transmutation. I am the eternal transmutation. I am the eternal transmutation. Take a deep breath. Take a deep breath and go into the core of the void of your solitude within you. Expand the light of yourself, irradiating and illuminating all the subconscious as if you were a sun. Inspira profundo, llevando mis manos al corazón. Take a deep breath, perceiving this light irradiating, bringing clarity to each corner of the subconscious. I acknowledge that I had to go to the depths of my dark soul to see the light, for it's only in the night that you can see how you shine. It's in the subconscious of my soul where I find all the truth. Take a deep breath. Y comienzo a llevar esta conciencia take a deep breath and starts to bring this consciousness to each part of my body, of your body, by caressing and stretching. Coming back here and now. So now remember that we are looking for the truth and the answers. There is no other way than going down deep to the darkness of our soul. Thank you for being there, and as always, see you tomorrow at the same time to begin with the week of the body. Bye.